So in addition to our introductions, we're going to do a quick icebreaker. Okay, so we have just won the lottery. Our winning amount is $1 million. Yay, we're all now millionaires or a millionaire. What I want you to do is take some time, take about 2 minutes, and I want you to reflect and write down or draw what you think you do. So first, you've just won $1 million. What is your first reaction? Immediate reaction. So after our immediate reaction, our next step is what do we do next? So we react and then what happens? What are some of our key priorities to use the money wisely? Number 4 is what are we saving? Are we saving anything? And then number 5 is who are we going to help? So number 1, how do we react? We just won $1 million. Yay. Number 2, what are we going to do after we learn that we won $1 million? Number 3, what are our priorities for the money? Number 4, will there be any savings? And then number 5, is anybody going to be helped? So take a little bit of time and think about your thoughts and how you would react in this situation. So at 4:09, we'll start to talk a little bit more about it. Hello, Eka. Welcome to the conversation. Right now, we are reflecting on the following. I'm going to share my screen so you can see this. So we just won $1 million. We want you to think about what would be your first reaction. Number 2 is what would you do after that reaction? Number 3 is what are some of your key priorities for using that money wisely? Number 4, is what about savings? And then number 5 is whom would you be helping out? So think a little bit about that, Eka, and then we're going to have a conversation about how we would all interact with having learned that we became billionaires. Okay, so Ashley, Maria, Ramaya, Kennedy, let's talk about this. So tell me either verbally or in the chat. You just won $1 million. What is your reaction?
I'm screaming.
Okay, Ashley is screaming. Ramaya, Maria, Maria would be ecstatic to win $1 million, although I think at first you wouldn't believe you won. I would agree with that. I think I would feel that somebody has punked me. Anybody else have an immediate, what's our reaction to winning $1 million?
This is Kennedy. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Kennedy.
Hi. I would be like super happy and not believe it either.
Okay, so we're really happy. We don't know what we're gonna do about it. Don't know that we believe it. Cool. I think we're all on the same page. So number 2, what is our next step? So after we've gotten past the shock, after we have verified that this is in fact our money, what is the next step?
I'm calling my mom.
Okay, Ashley is calling her mom. Ramaya, Maria, Kennedy, what are we doing? I would say, and don't count my answer because, I've been adulting for so long. I'm making a budget. I think after I get over the shock, I think I'm going to parse out how I'm spending this money, but that's just me. I see Maria's typing. Kennedy, you have any thoughts about what would be your next step, or Maya, or Eka?
I think I would be budgeting too. I think I'd immediately pay off the rest of my car first.
Okay, that is good to hear. So Maria will also budget. She would tell her parents, but not everyone around for safety reasons. Definitely understand that. Okay, so we've screamed. We were in disbelief. We realized that this is actually our $1 million that's in the bank account. We've told the important people in our lives. We've paid off a car note. We've budgeted. So number 3, what are some of our key priorities for spending this money wisely? What's the priorities for this $1 million?
Paying off debts, investing, definitely budgeting, saving.
Okay, that was a lot. So Ashley is paying off debts, budgeting, saving, and investing. What about anybody else? Anybody gonna splurge, buy anything really big? I would personally. I have this thing for Louis Vuitton purses. Would I buy 10 of them? Maybe. Would I tell somebody that I bought 10 of them? Maybe not. But yeah, I like to splurge, so I probably would splurge a bit of it. Anybody else?
I think I would pay off my car, like I said, and focus on putting it into a house, but also splurge a little.
Okay. And I see Maria's typing, so I want to give her a chance to respond as well. So Maria would be spending it in a smart way, saving and finding a way to make it a passive income. You all are very smart. I wish I thought this way about money when I was your age, or even now. Okay, so that's number 3. Number 4, are we saving? Yes or no? And then if we are, how much are we saving? So it's 2 questions. Are we saving? And then if yes, how much?
I'm thinking at least half.
Okay, Ashley wants to save half. I see Maria's typing. Anybody else have some thoughts about if they're saving, how much are they saving? Ramaya is putting half away, or she's saving for emergencies and putting half away also. Okay, so we have 2 people putting $500,000 in savings. Kennedy, Eka, what about you all?
I would probably just budget, like we said in the earlier, and then whatever's left over from like the budgeting, I would just save, put into savings, but might leave a little fun for shopping or something, you know.
Okay. Thank you. And then our last question, are we helping anybody with this $1 million? And whom are we helping?
I have like this big like thing with like homeless individuals. Like I hate seeing homeless people on the streets. Like I think that anyone who has the money, or like especially celebrities, like they should be doing more for these people. So if I had, you know, that money, I would definitely invest in them and try to make their lives a little bit better, easier.
Okay. Thank you, Eka. Anybody else have any people that they'd like to help with their $1 million?
Definitely family, but also like people who need health insurance.
Okay. So we have some bigger causes. Maria, Kennedy, Ramaya.
I'm pretty involved with the American Heart Association, so I think I would donate a good amount to that organization.
Okay. That's cool to hear. Okay, so we have just received $1 million. It's been dispersed into our bank accounts. Ramaya would also give some of it to charity. So we've identified how we would react, what we would do with it, who are we giving it to, what are we saving. So I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to go to the next step. So we just won the lottery again, but this time the amount has changed. We're no longer millionaires. We're now 100,000aires. So I want you to do the same thing. I want you to stop and think about if you were told that you had just received $100,000, what is your first reaction? After you get over your first reaction, what do you do next with that information? What are going to be some of your key priorities for using the money wisely? And then what are you doing about savings? And are you helping out anyone? And if so, who are you helping out? So take about 2 more minutes. Think about the situation has changed. It's no longer a million. It's now 100,000. What is the outcome? So we will reconvene in about 2 minutes. So 4:18. Okay, so it is now 4:18. So let's have another conversation. Okay, so the lottery amount has changed. We no longer have $1 million in our bank accounts. We woke up this morning and we found out that we have $100,000 in our bank accounts. What is our first reactions? Ashley?
I'd probably say a prayer.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to elaborate anymore?
I mean, if I'm just waking up and it's like 1,000 this time, as opposed to the million I first had, I'm like saying a prayer, like, "Hey God, what do I need to do with this?"
Okay. So $100,000 gets a prayer. Okay.
Yeah.
Anybody else want to share? What is your immediate reaction to waking up and seeing $100,000 in our bank accounts? Okay, so Ramaya says that she would still be satisfied with the money. I see Maria typing. Eka, Kennedy, do you all have any immediate reactions to waking up with $100,000 in your bank account?
I would still be super excited.
Okay, so there's still excitement there. Anybody else? Maria says $100,000 is still a lot of money. I'll be very happy even to have that amount of money. Okay. Okay, so we've gotten over the initial reaction to realizing that we now have access to $100,000. Number two, what are we going to do, or what do we do next? So we get over the shock, we get over the instant reaction. What happens next with our plans for $100,000?
I said switch it from checking to savings because I have a lot of bills to pay, so your bank automatically takes stuff out. So I'd switch it to savings. That's my next move.
Okay, so Ashley's automatic move is we are moving that money out of the way of bills partially getting paid. Anybody else? What is our next step with $100,000? Ramaya also would put the money. Oh, sorry.
sorry. I think I would still do like the same things, budget, and then I only have a couple thousand left on my car, so I'd get that paid off and then put the rest in savings.
Okay, that's a very detailed plan. Ramaya is also putting her money into savings, and then I see Maria is talking. Maria is going to save and maybe take 10,000 out of it. I'm pretty sure I heard Kennedy. Eka, do you have any thoughts about what are your next steps?
Definitely prioritizing like what the money should go to, whether I should splurge and spend it on like an extravagant vacation or put it towards, like bills, or which I'm definitely going to do because that's the smarter choice, but bills and anything else that needs to be paid off or like put towards to savings. And yeah.
Okay. Okay, so what are some of our key priorities? I think some of you have already started to answer this. So there's some budgeting happening, there are some bills that are being paid, there are some savings that are taking place. Are there any priorities that you have that you did not already include?
I think like I would buy a few houses, even if they're like smaller, just to have to like rent out, like build more income with it.
Okay, so Ashley might buy some smaller houses. Eka, I see your circle going on and off.
I'm looking to like get my own apartment soon, so probably at least save up rent for I would probably want to do at least 5 months just so I'm like set and I can make more money and money like stacks on top of each other.
Mhm.
But yeah, I don't want to be stressed about where my next payment's going to be coming from every month.
Okay, understandable. And then I see Maria is typing. Anybody else have any priorities that they have not already mentioned? Okay, I'm gonna give Maria a little bit of time and then we'll go to the next question. Maria would buy a car so that she wouldn't have to be dependent on her mom's. Definitely understandable. And so have we identified how, we know that Maria will be saving a lot of it and maybe keeping $10,000. What's everyone else's savings plan? How much are we saving of this $100,000?
I still do half.
Okay, so Ashley is saving $50,000. Maya is saving $50,000. Anybody else saving?
I think I would do a good 20,000.
Okay. So Eka is saving roughly 20,000. And then are we helping anybody with our $100,000? And if so, who are we helping?
I was gonna say maybe like local churches or something.
Okay. So
There's
Ashley is helping out some local churches. Anybody else?
I would still like to help the homeless in some way, and then also help my mom out with like some bills and anything else she needs, because she supports me. So.
Okay. And I see that Ramaya is also going to still help out with a charity. Okay, so we have officially identified our plans for $100,000. So now, what will we do if that amount were to be changed? So we went from $1 million, we went from $100,000, and now we're going down to $50,000. So instead of your initial questions, we have think about these three things. So keep in mind that instead of waking up with $100,000, you instead woke up with $50,000. One, would there be any changes to your original plans? Actually, let me backtrack. So what would we do if that amount changed? Would we handle this any differently than if it were the $1 million or the $100,000? Does that matter at all? Actually, it changes some things. Tell me what it changes.
It changes who is my first priority, which would probably be me and my mom, because we are partners in everything. but
Mhm.
be helping her more or doing things to better our future more so than anything else.
Okay, so it changes the priorities of focusing in on Ashley and Ashley's mom for Ashley. Okay. Anybody else? Does it change the priorities? Does it change how you would handle receiving $50,000 versus $100,000 or $1,000,000?
I think it would change the priorities a little bit for me as well. I think I would try to help my dad out since he supports me a lot. And I would also still try to pay off my car and then definitely save a lot more.
Okay. Anybody else?
I don't think my plans necessarily change. Like I still probably, homeless individuals, mom, and apartment are like top 3 and then everything else, But I think the amount of money just changes the amount of money I put into those things. So not necessarily plans, just the, amount of money.
Okay. I saw that Ramaya said that she would save more than half of the money. I'm assuming if it changed from $100,000 to $50,000. And I see that Maria is typing. So she says she doesn't think that her priorities would change, but the way that she would manage her money would change. Okay. So we identified what those changes would be. What does this highlight about your core values? Does it show you anything about how you view money or how you view what you would do with that money in any way that you didn't think about before?
I don't think it changes things for me. I've always had the same values, even as a little girl, like save money, and do what's best for you at the time. So
Mm-hmm. Anybody else?
I don't think it changes anything for me either, just because I've always been a big saver. So saving would be important to me. And then also paying bills that I have to get done as soon as possible.
Okay. Um, and then what do you think what core values do you think are reflected in the decisions that you made around the money?
I'm thinking just like the morals and values of being kind to other people and um, just supporting yourself.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else see any of their core values highlighted in the decisions that they made around the money and how they would have spent it?
I think family is like, oh, sorry. I think family's super important. So like getting back to my dad, who's always given everything to me, that is a very core value for me.
Okay.
Yeah, I was gonna say something similar to Kennedy, just like selflessness. More like 2 out of the 3 things were like giving back to people, like my mom, and so yeah, I feel like I'm focused more on the people that surround me rather than like me myself.
I feel that. And then these, sorry, trying to keep my brain together. Did this reflect any of the goals that you currently have personally?
Yes, very much, because the apartment situation is literally next year, like that I have to get a job and like work up to that, so definitely.
Okay. So I'm going to utilize that last part to kind of tie this all back together because I know I said, hey, we're going to talk about SMART goals. And then it was like, SMART goals goes out the door. Let's talk about money and winning the lottery. So the purpose of that was to highlight what are those core values that you have? What are those goals that you have? And so now identifying what some of those goals are, we're going to talk about how do you get from them just being this idea or this thing that you want to happen to something that can become much more of a reality. So I'm going to go back to sharing my screen as soon as I can figure my life out. and we will get into that. Okay, I think I have this figured out. So I'm going to, it's very weird going from working with 2 screens to now only having one at my disposal, but it's okay. We got this. Present. Okay, so, and going back into the conversation about goals, first we have to identify what is a goal. So a goal is the object or the aim of an action. So for example, is to attain a specific standard of proficiency, usually within a specified limited time. So it's having a picture or having an idea of something that you want to complete, you want to make it a reality, and usually doing it within a specific set of time. So goal setting means to be the purpose of taking those active steps to achieve those desired outcomes. And then there are 3 different types of goals. So there are process goals. Process goals are behaviors or strategies that will help us to perform well and increase our chances of achieving our desired outcome goals. There's also performance goals that set the standards at which we will be performing our process goals, and then this will focus on the results. And the outcome goals are specific. My life. Specific and spell out the results that we hope to achieve in the end. So this is the process. So we're starting with the process goals, then we go into performance, and then we identify what is our outcomes. So a goal should always be a SMART goal. Has anybody heard of a SMART goal before? And if you have, just put a thumbs up in the chat for me. If you have not, you could put no, or just let me know that you haven't heard of it before. So I have a yes, I have from Ramaya. Anybody else heard of them? I haven't from, I think that's Maria. Okay, so I have another yes. So we have some people who are pretty aware. We have some who might not be. So that's pretty cool. So let's talk about it. So SMART goals are basically goals that should always have these 5 specific items because it makes it easier to make those goals a reality. So the first one is for it to be specific. The second is that it is measurable. The third is that it's achievable. The fourth is that it's relevant. The fifth is that it is timely or time-based. And so we'll go into what each of these letters mean and how they all work into the bigger picture. So specific is your goal should be clear. It should be specific, or otherwise you won't be able to focus on your efforts or feel truly motivated to achieve it. So when you're drafting your goal, you want to start out with trying to answer the 5 W questions. So first, who is involved? What do I want to accomplish? Why is this goal important? Where is it located? And then which resources or limits are involved. So we kind of want to get to the granular, what is the goal? Why am I doing this goal? Who's involved in this goal? How is it important to me? Once we identify that, then we can get into it being measurable. So it's important for our goals to be measurable so that they can track, so we can track our progress and then keep ourselves motivated. So it allows us to assess progress or processes throughout the time. So we stay focused, we meet our deadlines, and that we feel that we're achieving our goals and we're getting closer to that end result that we want to have. So when we talk about measuring a goal, we want to talk about how much, how many, how will I know that it's accomplished? So for example, you do not talk about measurements. I always have this goal about weight. It is a personal thing. But for me, if I were to measure my weight goal, in this portion of it, I would include how many pounds I want to lose, or if I was trying to gain weight, how many pounds am I gaining? So that makes it the measure. That lets me know that I've achieved my result when I meet this measurement. Another thing could be, I'm trying to think of another one that would have a specific measure. An associate's degree could be a portion of a measure. Like I want to receive this many credits. So my goal is to complete 60 credit hours. So that's the measure portion of it. Then it's achievable. So we want to make sure that our goals are realistic and they're attainable in order for them to be successful. In other words, it should be a stretch of our abilities, but should still be possible. So when you set this goal, you may want to identify previously overlooked opportunities or resources that can bring it closer. So an achievable goal will usually answer the questions such as, how can I accomplish this goal? How realistic is this goal based on other constraints? So using my weight goal that I mentioned before, we would keep it achievable, or we would know it's achievable based on, for example, my body and its ability to gain or lose weight. So the average person is not losing, let's say, 30 pounds in 1 week or 30 pounds in 1 month. So it wouldn't be achievable for me to say, oh, I'm going to lose a very large amount of weight in a very short amount of time. Or I'm going to try to think of another thing that would be very unattainable, but it's based on the circumstances in the situation. So there are some times where it's achievable for a different goal, but it may not be achievable for this specific goal based on what is happening around that goal, what is happening around the issue or the outcome that we want to have happen, if that makes any sense. So make sure that it's achievable, it's attainable based on the constraints and the reality of it. And then in conjunction with that is relevancy. So we want to make sure that our goals matter to us and that it aligns with other relevant goals. So we need support and assistance in achieving our goals, but it's important that we retain control over them. So we want to make sure that our plans drive everything forward, but that we're still responsible for achieving our own goals. So a relevant goal is something that you can say yes to the following questions. Does this goal seem worthwhile? Is it the right time? Does this match other efforts / needs? Does this align with my personal objectives? So how does this fit into the other goals that I have? Is this realistic with the other goals that I have? Or is this just like, I kind of want to do it, but it's not really relevant at the moment. It's not really important to all the things that I have going on, that type of thing. Because sometimes we have goals and they may not be the goals that we need to focus in on right now, because other things need to happen in order for that goal to become a potential reality. So make sure that it's relevant to where you are and what you need to accomplish and what you want to accomplish. And then the last portion of the SMART, which is T, is time-based. So every goal needs to have a target date, so that you have a deadline to focus on and something to work towards. It also helps to prevent everyday tasks from taking priority over your longer-term goals. So a time-bound goal will usually answer these questions. When? What can I do today? And then what can I do in X amount of weeks from now? So time-based lets you know what is the timing of this goal. So again, going back to my weight goal, for example, if I were to say I want to gain X amount of weight, I would then also include by X amount of days, X amount of weeks, X amount of months, that type of thing. So it's giving me a deadline of, after I identify what I want to do, then I have to identify when do I want to do this by. So this is what a SMART goal is. I know that was pretty straightforward, pretty simple, but I think goals should be pretty simple. It should be easy to really get down to the main point of, this is my goal. It doesn't always have to be a long thing. It doesn't have to be several sentences. Just straight into the point makes it easier for you to identify what needs to happen and to start to get it done. So we're not at survey yet. We're going to skip that part. But hold on, let me get back to you all because my computer's everywhere. What I do want us to do is take some time to identify at least one SMART goal for ourselves. I am going to show you a document or an outline that we're going to use. And then let's have a little bit of time to kind of flesh out what that goal could be. It could be a goal that you've already kind of identified and thought through a little bit, or it could be a brand new goal that you want to flesh out some more. So give me a second. Okay, so this is a one pager. I'm going to do my best to keep it all on the screen. But let's say for the next 5 minutes, you take some time. If you have some paper or you have your phone, write down what it says and answer the questions, because it does have SMART, measurable, attainable, or achievable, relevant, and timely. And then at the bottom, it lets you actually write out that goal. So take some time to write out what it's asking you and get very clear about what it is you want to accomplish. And I'm going to make this bigger so you can all see it. Okay, we'll focus on the top portion. So take a few minutes, and then answer what is your initial goal. So write down your basic goal, and then you can answer the SMART portion, or the specific portion, the measurable portion, the achievable portion, relevant, timely, and then at the bottom we'll get to what is our SMART goal. So we will start to discuss at 4:46. Okay, it has been roughly 5 minutes. I hope that gave you enough time to get through the top portion. So I'm going to ask if anybody would like to share what their initial goal was and then what was their ultimate SMART goal, if you're comfortable.
Okay, so mine was to start driving
Okay.
soon, which my mom will start teaching me next week.
Okay, so that's the initial goal. What
Yes.
was the ultimate SMART goal?
Smart goal was to know how to drive by the time of my birthday so I can take the driving test. Because that's the next thing that I have to do. Because I have
Okay, when is your birthday?
my birthday is August 30th.
Okay, so you're giving yourself between November and August to learn how to drive enough so that you can take the driving test.
Yes.
Okay, I wish you good luck with that. I got my license when I was 23. It took me a second. It took me a second, but it will happen for you.
Thank you.
Anybody else want to share? What was their initial goal and then what became their SMART goal?
My initial goal was move out into an apartment, and my SMART goal was to, or is to, obtain a job by January 2022 and save enough money to be able to afford an apartment in Tampa by July or August of 2022. So for
Okay.
fall term.
Okay, so I'm hearing two goals. So the first goal is to obtain a job by a certain amount of time, and then the second goal is to get the apartment by a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
Okay. So you're combining two into one. All right. Thank you. I hope that all that works out and that you will be living in a nice Tampa apartment by 2022.
Thank you.
No problem. Anybody else want to share? Okay. I'm not going to force it. I am going to show you what the bottom of this sheet looks like. We don't have to stop to take the time to do it, but I would recommend that at some point soon, after you have done that goal, that you stop and take the time to complete the next two portions of this sheet. So I'm going to share my screen so you can see it. Give you a few seconds to write it down. So basically, after you've created your SMART goal, the second step is to create an action plan. So we want to identify what are the steps that we need to take to get to our goal. So you would write down what are the action items, what is the expected completion date for each item, and then as you do them, you write down what the actual completion date was. So for example, with Eka, because she wants to get a job, her first step would be, or could be, to apply to, so many jobs by an anticipated completion date. And then once she actually completed those job applications, then she would put down her actual completion date. And then the second option, or the second portion of it, is to identify what your potential obstacles are and then identify what your potential solutions are. So stop and think about, okay, so in this situation, as I'm working through my goal, what are some things that may come up as barriers, and then how will I address those barriers? And then another thing I would like to mention after I stop sharing this is also think about, I know it gives you the whole like SMART goal and this is how you do it. Sometimes as we're working through our goals, it may be helpful if we start to break them down into even smaller goals, because then it doesn't seem like it's as big of a goal. So for example, Ashley and Eka provided some really great examples of goals, but it could be easier or feel like it's less daunting if, for example, Ashley makes a smaller goal, which says that she is going to, and I don't know if she's done this or not, but she's going to maybe learn how to park by this date, or she's going to, learn how to drive around a parking lot at 20 miles per hour by this date. For Eka, it could be something like I mentioned, she's going to apply to 5 jobs by January 1st of 2022, or she's going to rewrite her cover letter and her resume by this date. So then we're taking it from I'm going to get a job, which is the bigger goal, to the smaller goals, which are I'm going to apply for a job. I'm going to get my resume created. I'm going to interview for 3 jobs. I'm going to, once I accept the job and then going into our other goal, I'm going to save $50 a month until this. So breaking down those goals makes it a lot more easier to feel like you're dealing with them, and it makes it feel like it's a lot more attainable and relevant. But that is it for today's workshop. I know that was pretty simple, but it gets daunting sometimes when we think about our goals. Even when we know what SMART goals are, when we look at big pictures and the things that we want to accomplish over, a semester, over a year, it starts as like, oh, that's a lot and that's really hard to handle. So it doesn't hurt to be reminded every so often of what SMART goals are and how to rethink the process that you're going through with achieving and working towards those goals that you all have. So with that being said, I am going to remind you all of a few things that are coming up with the PATH program. So number one, you should have got an email from all of us based on who you are assigned to, that it is time to do another student check-in. So if you have not already scheduled them, please take some time to go back to that email, click the booking links for each of us or for the person that you're assigned to, and make sure that you have a check-in scheduled with us. So that's one. Number two, we are doing some volunteer opportunities that are coming up. So the first one is a beach cleanup, which is taking place this Saturday. The second one is we're helping out with the Trinity Cafe. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't remember the specific date, but you should have gotten an email about it. So please go back and check your PATH email. And then third, we will be having a December celebration. We're still figuring out the specific details about that, but there will be an email coming shortly. So that means that there will be 3 more activities coming up in this semester. As it's going by pretty quickly, stay in the loop by checking your email. So those emails are coming or they have already been sent out. Stay up to date by looking at them. And if you want to get involved, do what's necessary. So I know for the beach cleanup, there may be a registration link. So go to that link and sign up if you really want to go. And we hope to see you out there. It's really nice to be out and see each other and have a shared cause and a shared purpose of supporting somebody else or supporting another cause. And because we all identified that we like helping others, this could be a good way to do it in a smaller time without spending any money. And then with that being said, I would like you all to complete the survey. So I'm going to put my screen back up one more time. And I just need you to follow the QR code. Okay, so complete the survey, like I mentioned. Tell us how you felt we did. I'm not gonna lie to you, I felt this was a little rough, but I'm also a substitute, so be lenient with me. But outside of that, if you know of any activities, any events, any workshops that you would like to participate or like to have the PATH program do, we are always open for suggestions. At the end of the day, this is not our program, this is your program, because we're here to support you and make sure that you get what you need. So please let us know what are the things that you'd like to see from us or how we can continue to grow and improve the program. And I'm also going to see if I can put the link in the chat as well. Exit full screen. Okay. The link is also in the chat. And then once you finish completing the link, you are done for the day. We will add this to your requirements. That lets us know that you have attended a workshop. And again, if you have any questions, you need any assistance, please don't hesitate to contact us, whether it's about workshops, whether it's about something else that's happening. Again, I always want to reiterate, our job is to support you all and make sure that you have what you need to be successful. And I'm going to also stop recording.